What's going on, guys? Clay Albright here. Been seeing a lot of videos out recently about Ethereum, and I think because its price is obviously a lot lower than where it was a few months ago, it's catching a lot of publicity. I have a love-hate relationship with Ethereum. I was involved with it very early on, basically right after its pre-ICO, I think. I mean, the price was in the $5-6 range. I wasn't a big investor back then, but I was aware of it. And this really isn't about the price. I'm just talking tech. Ethereum was like Bitcoin 2.0, right? So, you know, everybody loves Bitcoin. Everybody will always love Bitcoin. It's the first, right? It's like going to be the grandfather of cryptocurrency for, I'm sure, years to come. It does not mean that it's going to always have the biggest market cap. Don't confuse that. But back to Ethereum. Ethereum promised to be the world computer. That was their thing. And I loved it. I loved the idea of it. I realized immediately how that could impact, you know, so many things when, you know, you're literally on the same computer as someone in China. You know, what all possibilities are able now with that kind of technology. Anyway, that was Ethereum's thing. We're going to be the world computer. And it was like, you know, hey, you get all your hopes wrapped up into that, thinking, okay, this is going to be a big deal, and, you know, we're going to see all kinds of these, you know, smart contracts, and, you know, people will be able to put real estate online, and, you know, as far as like on a blockchain, you know, those were the things that we were talking. This is back in 2015, 2016. And then Ethereum launches, and like one of the first things that comes out is this DAO, which I definitely got into. Fortunately, I got out before it tanked, but, you know, there again, it was, you know, you get your hopes up, you get all excited about a project, and then it tanks, and you're like, you know, this is so frustrating. You know, and with Ethereum, you know, what in the world happened? You know, they have these, all these programmers and all that money that, you know, at their disposal, and you know, they put together a blockchain that is, you know, 3 or 4 times faster than Bitcoin, which is not saying a whole lot, but it's not really scalable. You know, I guess the only thing it's really been able to accomplish in the last few years is ICOs. I mean, is that truly what it was designed for? Did they even consider how many apps might be, you know, put on their system, and what kind of throughput they may need, and, you know, or did they really just want to launch ICOs to see the price of, you know, Ethereum skyrocket when everybody has to buy Ethereum to get into these ICOs? You know, maybe they recognized that, you know, there was an opportunity there. And I'm not saying they were manipulative about it, but, you know, when Vitalik Buterin first, you know, came out with the idea, I mean, it was just like the crowd of people just swarmed him and said, hey, we'll go raise money and put the system together, and you're brilliant, and you can lead the way. And it was like really high profile, very professional, the launch, everything. And yet here we are, 2018, and, you know, Ethereum hasn't lived up to its expectations. So, a little bit of a love-hate relationship there. Not to mention the fact that I don't know how many people really think about this, but, you know, they launched in 2000, Was it 15 or 16? I think it was 15, because 16 is when they did the DAO. But man, BitShares had already been around for 2 years. So what gives, y'all? You know, Dan Larimer had created BitShares in 2013. It was a decentralized autonomous company. And it was pegged assets for cryptocurrencies. It was, you know, it still is pushing, I'm sure, you know, thousands of transactions per second with, you know, seconds of block times and all that stuff. Anyway, that example had already been around for 2 years before Ethereum launches, and the Ethereum comes out with this, I mean, kind of a clunky, difficult, non-user friendly, I can't really explain, you know what I mean? It's just, what's the whole gas thing? You know, having to use gas, and so you can't really, I mean, you got to always pay, you know, it's like a pay for service type blockchain, you know? We used to have pay phones back in the day. We don't no more. I just don't really have any sympathy for the guys over at Ethereum and the gals over at Ethereum. I don't even know who you are. I'm not talking about Vitalik. I'm just saying, from a technology standpoint, you guys got yourself in a heck of a hole here, because you're moving. You can't just rewrite the script. You know, Ethereum's already a moving platform with a community and everything. So, you know, you trying to go from proof of work to proof of stake is like trying to change out the diesel engine to make it a gasoline engine while you're driving down the highway. You know, it's basically, you know, not saying it's impossible. I know you can probably figure it out, but now you're focusing all your time on fixing a blockchain or a platform. That's tough, man. That's tough. You know, all that time you're going to be putting into fixing it. There's other chains and opportunities coming out every day. So, you know, real quick, Cardano. What in the world? Okay, so the first time I found out about Cardano was like months ago now, but I mean, I was literally, I hadn't been on CoinMarketCap for a while, so I go on CoinMarketCap, and here's this Cardano in top 10. And I'm like, what is Cardano? Then I go start doing some homework. And I got to be honest with you, that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. The whole idea about, you know, peer review, they're going to do things the scientific way and whatnot. I mean, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Okay. No, you're not going to do it that way, because it doesn't work that way. You know, and all of these chains that have come out, you know, claiming that they're the, you know, the platform, you know, they were competing with Ethereum. They were trying to get ICO space. You know, they wanted people to come do ICOs on there and launch their coin, because, you know, they'd be buying them to get into the ICOs. And I'm not saying all of them, but a good bit of them. That's kind of, and a lot of them have the same type of gas that Ethereum had, or they have a transaction fee, you know, associated with, you know, with transactions on their system, or their proof of work. These are all things that are going by the wayside. You know what I mean? You know, there's no other platform, I think, well, except for Steam, that provides free transactions. And when it comes to open source technology, it is not rocket science, okay? You know, EOS being the free transactions that I'm talking about, it's as long as they can at least outperform Ethereum and allow multiple apps, and we get through the launch and everything's good, the space is so ripe for growth right now, because we've been waiting for 2 years to no avail. I mean, I am sure there are thousands of developers that are a little bit pissed off right now because they spent so much time and effort learning this new language. I mean, Ethereum rewrote the whole book, man. They put out their whole Turing complete software and excuse me, and I mean, they came up with the idea of the gas, and the fact that you burn those tokens, the whole, it was like, it just flipped everything on its head. You know what? It was cool. It was cool. I had been buying into it. Why not? I mean, this is Vitalik Buterin and the team with millions of dollars, and they're going to put this together, and it's going to be the bomb. And basically, we got a platform that spit out a ton of ICOs over the last few years and did a great job at doing it. Granted, there were some times where it got really bogged down, but hey, it performed. Okay, so what now? All this regulation's coming out about Ethereum or about ICOs. People are afraid to do ICOs, and they still are, but I'm saying, so what happens with Ethereum when the ICO market's dying down, and there's a whole lot of other options at this point too for doing ICOs, and then you have the whole EOS launching in June, which is bound to take a lot of business away from Ethereum if it hasn't already. Maybe that's why Ethereum's price is tanking, is because the developers have already jumped ship. They don't need to own it anymore if they're not going to be on it. And they can already start out on the test net with EOS and get things rolling on that side. I mean, the utility behind EOS compared to Ethereum is like night and day, It really, 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 really is. And the fact that EOS is something that all businesses could benefit from, all businesses could benefit from, gives it a value that could potentially skyrocket in the next few years. I used to work in operations in a company where I could see going in and sitting down with the owner and chit-chatting and saying, hey, there's this new digital currency out. Have you heard about it? And well, what's a Bitcoin? You need to, maybe the business, the name, the company that I worked for, maybe the company should invest in some Bitcoin. And I could just imagine his response would have been, no, it's too volatile. We'll keep our money in the bank. No need to be investing in any Bitcoin. Now, you want to do it personally, have a ball, put a few dollars in there yourself. But as far as the business is concerned, no, thank you. Okay? Fast forward to June of 2018. Well, maybe July or August, because we'll have to give these developers some time to actually launch their platforms. But imagine if I went in with that same old boss and the conversation went like, hey man, there's a new internet platform available. It's called EOS. Oh yeah? Well, tell me more about EOS. Well, it allows you to store all your data in a decentralized way where you can access it anytime, and it's secure better than any security you could have possibly provided for your data currently. You can sell all those servers you got in your server room, fire the database administrator. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, well, keep the database administrator. All right, my bad. But think about it. What do you think his response is going to be to that? It's certainly not going to be, no, 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 that's too volatile. It's probably going to sound a lot more like, Give me some more information about this EOS. I might like to investigate that a little bit more. And bam. And this is every single business in the world. How do you compete with that, Ethereum? How do you compete with that? You're still trying to switch over from diesel to gasoline. All right. I got to go do this. Whoop. You have a good night. Talk to you next time.